The last several months of this COVID-19 pandemic have been very difficult for us, I think both as individuals and as a church community. But now it's with great joy that we prepare ourselves to once again return to a public celebration of the Mass. You know, the Eucharist and the Mass do not exist for its own sake. It exists for the body to enable and equip us for our mission as a church. And it's time for that body to gather again publicly. Although the restrictions are easing, I think we need to be aware that the risk imposed by this pandemic is still there. And so we will most likely need to continue to concern ourselves about things like social distancing and wearing a mask, for cleaning our facility, and especially washing of our hands. There'll be a number of changes. I think we should expect that when we return to the celebration of the Mass, we're not immediately going back to the way that things were 2 or 3 months ago. So it's my hope that this video will help us to prepare to once again celebrate the Mass publicly. I think we can expect for the foreseeable future that the bishop will continue to dispense us from the Sunday obligation of the Mass. And so nobody should feel pressured or anxious about coming to Mass. If you are sick or you're experiencing flu-like symptoms, we're going to ask that you refrain from coming to Mass. And if you are particularly vulnerable or prone to infection, again, don't feel like you have to come. In fact, it might be prudent not to. I'm very grateful to all of our staff and our volunteers who have been working tirelessly over the past several weeks to prepare ourselves for this moment and to help us to return to the celebration of the Mass, especially those who have helped us to produce this video. Again, I'm looking forward to returning to Mass and to being able to celebrate Mass in this church again, but with you. I'm looking forward very much to seeing your face.
Welcome back to Mass inside St. Athanasius and St. John's Church. For those who will join us for Mass in the parish of the Holy Savior at the church, we are providing the following guidelines for everyone to ensure your safety and those around you during this time of COVID-19. For your safety and those around you, please follow the CDC recommendations regarding your own health. If you fall into a risk category, please stay home and join us online for a live stream of the 9:30 Mass, or participate in the Mass from your car, Saturdays at 4 p.m. at St. John's Cemetery on Isthmus Road in Rumford. Please note there are some changes that you should be aware of. All entry into St. Athanasius and St. John's Church will be through the elevator entrance on Franklin Street. This will help us facilitate our welcome process. The seat cushions and the worship books have been removed because they cannot be cleaned or sanitized between use. 6-foot social distancing is a critical way to limit possible exposure to the coronavirus. Because of the flow in and around the church, we are not always able to maintain that distance. Therefore, masks are necessary. For those who are 5 years old and up, face coverings or masks are required while on church property and during Mass. The bathroom at the rear of the church is open, but is reserved for emergencies only. In order to balance Mass participation, social distancing, and limits on gathering numbers, seating options are limited inside the church. Everyone will be seated in the sections in the front of the church in front of the break. Only members of a household may sit together. We are blessed to have Mark continue to lead us in our responses in the music. However, as the diocese has requested, there are no choirs at this time, and therefore there is no seating beyond the organist and the cantor in the choir loft. All parish staff and volunteers are required to wear face masks, wash their hands, and be screened for COVID-19 symptoms. Prior to coming to Mass, please consider the following. We ask that you wash your hands for 20 seconds at home. Before heading out for Mass, please be sure that you and everyone in your household over the age of 5 has their mask. Consider bringing your own hand sanitizer so that you can use it during Mass, especially immediately prior to communion. Please do not bring any cleaning or disinfecting items that contain bleach, as they may damage the pews. Seat cushions and the worship books have been removed because they cannot be cleaned or sanitized between use. Please arrive 15 to 20 minutes before Mass to have time to enter the church and be seated by our porters and volunteer team. When you arrive at church, if you are 5 and up, please place your mask over your face before you get in line to enter the church. Our volunteers and porter team will greet you and check you in. If you haven't signed up with the parish office, we will ask you to choose another Mass option. Once checked in, please proceed up the stairs, being mindful of appropriate social distancing. If you need to use the elevator, please do so or ask the porter for assistance. Once in the building, proceed up the stairs or elevator to the entrance of the church. A porter will greet you and hand you a worship aid. Please wait for someone to come seat you. Our volunteer team and porters will seat everyone, being mindful of social distancing requirements. At the door to the church, you will be greeted by a porter who will escort you to your seat. When you enter the church, you will see that we have marked which pews can be used. This will help ensure safe social distancing. Be aware of the lines and arrows on the floor that indicate direction of travel and provide guides for appropriate social distancing. Members of a single household may sit together. You may be sharing a pew with another individual or individuals. However, a social distance of 6 feet is required between individuals and households. We have planned for this, and we ask you to respect this. The liturgy hasn't changed. However, be sure to have your worship aid in hand. It has the music and the responses for the Mass inside. Please keep your face mask on for the duration of the liturgy. Remember, we are trying to maintain appropriate social distance before, during, and after Mass. Please do not have any physical contact between different households or other individuals during the sign of peace. And please do not hold hands between households or other individuals during the Lord's Prayer. Offering baskets will not be passed during the liturgy. However, you can place your weekly offering in a basket as you exit the church. We strongly encourage online giving, and this is easily available on the parish website using WeShare. We are blessed to be able to receive Jesus in the Eucharist again. But in order to balance participation, social distancing, and good hygiene, the following process has been put in place, and we ask that you respect these changes. Out of charity for others, please consider receiving Holy Communion in the hand rather than on the tongue. The precious blood will not be offered to the congregation until reinstated by our bishop. If, for whatever reason, you are not comfortable receiving Holy Communion at this time, you may make an act of spiritual communion. You may wish to use personal hand sanitizer before and after communion. However, there will be a hand sanitizer station at the break before you come down the center aisle to receive. The flow for communion has changed to ensure proper social distancing and have sufficient time for people to sanitize their hands before receiving communion. There will be one communion station at the front of the church and a single line down the center aisle. Ushers will invite parishioners to communion pew by pew in order to facilitate movement and appropriate social distancing. The flow will be from the pew to the side aisle and process to the break, and then a single line down the center aisle. At the break, we ask that you use hand sanitizer, then proceed to the front of the church to receive Eucharist. This will ensure your hands are clean after removing your mask and provide time for the hand sanitizer to dry before receiving Eucharist. Please maintain social distance between you and the other communicants in front of you. Wait for the person in front of you to receive communion and consume before coming forward. When you step up to the priest to receive communion, try to maintain social distance to the extent that you can. Fully extending your arms may be necessary to do this. After receiving, replace your mask and return to your pew by the side aisle nearest your seat. Porters and volunteers will help facilitate this process. After the final blessing, you will be invited to remain in your pews while Father processes out. This will give him time to get to the exit and wish you well. The volunteers and porters will invite you to the exit in an orderly fashion while maintaining appropriate social distancing. Personal prayer is not available after Sunday Masses, and this will allow the church to be reset and cleaned. please drop off your weekly offering in the designated baskets as you leave, or go to our website to start online giving through WeShare. Father Nathan will not shake hands at the door, but will be present to wave to you and to wish you well as you depart. After Mass, please do not gather outside in the parking lot, but instead head directly to your vehicle. Thank you, stay safe, and God bless.